Hey guys, it's Carmen with Millennial Mortgages. We're here in the East Garfield Park neighborhood of Chicago to visit Troy and view his 2-flat property.
Welcome to my home, Millennial Mortgages.
Troy, what do you do and what made you want to buy?
I work in the tech space and I wanted to buy because I thought it would be a great investment for my future. So I grew up in a house. My parents still live in the house. And so when I thought about a home, I understand the power of equity. So I wanted to have something that I could essentially lean into later on in my life, whenever I needed to make, if I needed some type of reserve to do anything, for those major life changes. So, a house to me was an investment for my future.
So Troy, can you talk to us about the financial process of buying your building?
Before this, I was renting. I had a roommate, so I was saving a lot of money. And also, because I was a first time homeowner, I was able to leverage a lot of programs. And I was at a point in my life where I qualified for a lot of the programs too. So I was able to, what it required of me was to have my credit somewhat together, at that time. And then also a few additional steps that maybe someone wouldn't necessarily have to go through if they just decided to buy, a conventional house, right? So if you wanted to just put down that anywhere from 5 to 20%, you could do that. But through a FHA, there's a few more requirements of you, right? So debt to income ratio, credit, also just like bank statements, things like that, full-time employment, how long you've been employed with your company. So I utilized all those aspects to actually do the purchase.
Okay. What was the home buying process like for you?
Yeah, so the home buying process for me, it was definitely a journey to get there. So when I first decided that I wanted to buy, I started by going to a first-time homeowners conference, I guess, or meeting that they had, just to educate you on the process. Which is actually, that's where I met my realtor, who actually was my agent who helped me close the deal. Through that point, it was just a conversation with him, and then I also around programs that I might possibly qualify for. And then I actually discovered, through some research, I was able to discover 2 programs I qualified for. One was a grant that Wells Fargo did for first-time homeowners after the fallout that they had across the nation. And then also it was another program just through Illinois Housing for first-time homeowners, which also I learned from my agent. So I'll just throw that in. That's a nugget in the sense of understanding who your agent is and making sure they're educated, because sometimes they can tell you about things that you might not even know that you qualify for. From that point, had a conversation with the agent, spoke with the the loan officer to understand what my buying power was at my current income level, because that's what you're gonna also want to understand as well. And then I took that and went shopping, right? The way that programs work is normally once you have a confirmation of how much you can buy. You have a certain time frame that you have to buy, before that amount expires, and you have to go back to get another confirmation on how much you can actually buy. So after that, I went shopping, to utilize those programs, because those programs, the money lasts, and when it's gone, it's gone. So you also have to make a move in that time frame as well. So the stars kind of aligned for me in the sense of I was at a perfect place professionally and economically, and just being a first time homeowner where I was able to just use utilize both those programs to purchase this home. So I probably started the shopping process June or July of 2018, and then I closed in January 2019.
What made you want to take that step from renting to buying?
I was looking for an investment, something that made me money, and also living in a city like Chicago, there's so much. This is a city that I feel like has a lot of potential in a lot of different areas of the city for growth, and I just felt like I needed to participate in that growth, long term. I just felt like I needed to participate in this, in this market and make that move, to invest long term, and also, something that paid me in the process. So,
Were there any challenges during the home buying process?
whenever you're buying as an investment, buying a property as an investment, you're gonna have challenges such as the building was already occupied or it could be occupied, and then also there was just a few challenges prior to that of just finding the right loan officer that could actually help stack the grants in the proper way. So I would say both of those challenges, those were the two that stuck out or that stick out in my mind, during the process. So when I was in the home buying process, whenever you go through a process, normally if you're buying a home for yourself, the process can be very more straightforward. But when you're stacking loans, that requires or grant programs, that requires additional paperwork. So every loan officer can't be held to the same bar because they don't actually know what's going on. To stack up, to do like these capital stack programs, right? Which a capital stack is taking grant programs and using them together in a multiple manner. You need somebody that's a little bit savvy, in that process. So I actually had to fire my first loan officer to get a second one that knew how to do the process for the two grant programs I started with. And then also, when I inherited the building, unfortunately, I probably inherited it from somebody else that was kind of operating as a slumlord, basically. So the tenants in the building weren't very good tenants. So I had to essentially go through an eviction process with one of the tenants and to get the right proper person in there, right, that fits, the makeup of the building and how I want to operate it.
You bought this building as an investment property and you wanted to make money from it, and that meant having a tenant. How did you feel about becoming a first-time landlord?
Oh man, becoming a first-time landlord, I was actually terrified. But funny enough, actually, whenever you're buying the good thing about grant programs is that they actually put steps in to help you be successful. So in order to actually get the grant money that I used to buy this building, because it was a building and I was buying it as a first-time homeowner, they required me to take a tenant class. So I was able to get some knowledge and preparation going into it, but I was definitely terrified of the process at first. So yeah, definitely had some butterflies going into the process. But I think I felt a little better, after taking the class. I was able to find a few people, form a community. Through community and a bit of preparation, you can kind of overcome that fear. Bit of preparation, you can kind of overcome that fear.
Troy, were there any surprises during the process at all?
Yeah, so surprises. One surprise that I learned was that I had no idea I would have to track my entire spending history up until the point of purchasing whenever you decide to use grant money in the process of buying a home or investment, property. So I was definitely surprised on that aspect and challenged as well, to keep up with that, throughout the whole process, because they're checking every detail, where the money's coming from. They want to know. I mean, I recall them giving me a call and asking, where was this cash out money coming from, right?
Was there anything you learned at the end of the process that you wish you knew at the beginning?
Yeah, I think something that I learned is more so a reality of accepting when you become an investment property owner that you are actually taking on the responsibility of somebody's home, right, and their living space. So I think what I learned was just a level of responsibility, of ownership, and how I want to manage, someone's living space, for a family or, single person. So I think that was something that I learned in the process, taking that responsibility serious and understanding that it matters.
Do you feel like after this whole process and owning this home for the past few years, do you feel like it was all worth it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I feel like in this world there are few assets such as real estate that you can buy and essentially possibly double the worth of it in the course of 5 to 10 years. There's not many spaces that allow a general person to have access to that level of wealth. So if I had the chance to do it again, I would absolutely do it in a heartbeat.
What do you say to millennials who are hesitant to buy?
I would say, hey, if you're a good saver and you have a lot of money sitting somewhere in the bank, honestly, a home is essentially the same thing. And I would say, don't think of a home as something so permanent, but something more of an investment for your future. So I would say if you're interested, at least go talk to, a loan officer and see what your capability is. You might surprise yourself and set yourself up for the next 10 to 20 years.
And do you plan on buying more properties in the future?
I'm thinking more of maybe investment buildings in the future, and possibly maybe some flipping or fix and flips as well. So interested in doing some more work like that on the investment side of things. So.
Thanks for watching this episode, and as we say here at Millennial Mortgages, don't wait to start building generational wealth.